What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Alex. If you are new here, I talk about a lot of movies and on occasion video games, and today I'm going to be talking about Legion of Superheroes. Legion of Superheroes is the 47th? Yes. 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 47th. 47th entry into the DC animated movie universe, the sixth in the Tomorrow universe, following Green Lantern Beware My Power. Kara, devastated by the loss of Krypton, struggles to adjust to her new life on Earth. Her cousin, Superman, mentors her and suggests she leave their space-time to attend the Legion Academy in the 31st century, where she makes new friends and a new enemy, Brainiac 5. Meanwhile, she must contend with a mysterious group called the Dark Circle as it searches for a powerful weapon held in the Academy's vault. I think it's suffice to say that the DC animated movies have been severely lacking lately, especially since they rebooted this entire universe with the TomorrowVerse that started with Superman Man of Tomorrow. With the exception of the long Halloween movies, I think that it's fantastically mediocre. Superman Man of Tomorrow is okay. Justice Society World War II is fine as well. Green Lantern Beware My Power has got to be the worst DC animated movie I have seen, with the exception of The Long Halloween. Once we started with this reboot, this Tomorrowverse, I could tell that even in the writing department and even in the animation department that these movies are just severely lacking something now. And I'm not really a huge fan of the art style that these animated movies take on now, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in this review. Again, Green Lantern Beware My Power is by far the worst DC animated movie I have seen so far, and so obviously I blind buy these things. I like watching these animated movies. I have a whole slew of them. I have about like 30 of them, and I marathon them sometimes. So yeah, I like watching these, and even if they're not connected, like the ones that aren't connected to me are the ones that are the better ones, like Under the Red Hood or Batman Beyond Return of the Joker. So I was mildly skeptical when it came to Legion of Superheroes. I was hoping that this would be the one that got back on track, but I was worried that we would fall into the pitfalls of what this Tomorrowverse has been doing lately with these animated DC movies, and that it would just fall into that trap that Green Lantern Beware My Power fell into, where the animation, voice acting, and writing weren't as strong as they were in the past. Legion of Superheroes has its merits. It's got a great opening scene on Krypton with Kara, or Kara as this movie calls her. I call her Kara because that's how every other iteration calls her, so I'm just going to refer to her as Kara throughout this review. I think that was a great opening scene. The action scenes in this movie are really fun to watch. I like the emphasis on both intrigue and mystery mixed with action and not an overabundance of one or the other. When the action is animated, that's when the animation is at its best as well. And as stated, there is intrigue in this movie, and when the Dark Circle is trying to get this thing from the vault, it becomes this mystery that I'm like, okay, there's enough here that I can be intrigued by. But unfortunately, there's so much surrounding all of that that's just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. For one, the animation outside of those action scenes isn't very good. These movies have adopted this animation style similar to anime. And it works in anime. Anime is very specific. I watch quite a few anime programs and movies, and I like that style a lot. I just don't think it fits in this DC universe at all. And so, because it seems like there's more effort put into the animation and the action scenes in this movie, the rest of the animation feels lacking and lagging behind. Like, there's no effort put into it. The voice acting also isn't that strong either. I really liked Jensen Ackles as Batman in The Long Halloween, but when he's reading his lines as Batman in this movie, it's almost like he's reading off a cue card. He's very monotone. He has one tone of voice, and it's obvious he's reading paper.
Your cousin is a problem. She's failed to control her powers.
I usually don't have that feeling with voice actors in animated movies, but it stuck out for me a lot in this movie, especially with him, and especially with Meg Donnelly, who plays Supergirl in this movie, the voice of Brainiac 5 in this movie as well. I'm not sure who all the voices are, so I'm not going to say who the actors are. Mon-El's voice is also very robotic. It was very jarring to me that this is the quality that they're that they're producing now. This was top-notch animation at one point. This was a studio that cared a lot about these movies, and now it's just like, well, we're kind of taking that Bob Chapek comment that he said about animation to heart that is not for everybody. So we don't have to put as much effort into this. No, you do because this is still home entertainment value for you. You should be putting as much animation into these movies as you do in live action. Like there's so many talented artists out there and it just seems so lackadaisical or it just feels like it's a detriment to them and an insult to them that they're putting out products that don't feel like they're that well animated or even finished. This is also a movie that I think should have just been called Supergirl. Supergirl or Supergirl and Brainiac 5. It's called Legion of Superheroes, and the Legion of Superheroes are supporting characters in their own movie. It's like the Elvis movie from last year. I didn't really like that Elvis movie. Elvis was a supporting character in his own movie. That's how I felt with the Legion of Superheroes in this movie, to the point where I even forgot that they were in this movie. It became so much of a focus on Supergirl and Brainiac 5, and that's fine if your movie wasn't titled Legion of Superheroes. And I get it's trying to introduce Supergirl and Brainiac 5 to that Legion of Superheroes, but I just felt that they were underutilized and I didn't feel like I had a strong connection with those characters. And even with Supergirl and Brainiac 5 as the central characters in this movie, I didn't have a connection to them. And they try to make them this big thing in this movie and it didn't work for me. I don't know what is happening with DC animation and the writing quality. I really miss the days where Sam Liu was directing these things because let's face it, despite the writing quality of the movies that Sam Liu directed in this animation verse, you could say what you want about what he changed from a certain comic run or graphic novel and some of those controversial takes. Like I know Killing Joke had a lot of controversial takes. I personally haven't seen The Killing Joke, but I know that that was a very controversial thing, but he at least knew how to weave the characters in and out of the frame, and he at least cared about the animation, and at least telling a somewhat intriguing story. And while there is intrigue here, the Dark Circle itself also, the villains feel inconsequential to this whole thing. There's one villain in this feature where I said, I can get behind that. But the rest of it just feels so lacking in its character development and the way it handles these characters that it feels like they wanted to leave them on the cutting room floor, but then they remembered what the movie was called, so they had to put them in there. Sam Liu had a better understanding as to where things were going to go in the future. Who I don't know the director. I think it's Jeff Wadmaster or something like that. Not to say that he directed this movie poorly. I just don't know what the sense of direction moving forward is because we've had Superman Man of Tomorrow, Justice Society World War II, the two-part Long Halloween Batman movies, and Green Lantern Beware My Power, then this movie, and then apparently the next one in this Tomorrowverse is a Justice League movie? Like, that boggles my mind. The next movie being released is Batman the Doom That Came to Gotham, and when I'm more excited about a solo Batman movie that is detached from everything than I am about the culmination of what this universe is building up to, that's a problem. It's like, hey, I'm more excited for the Batman 2 with Robert Pattinson than I am with James Gunn's upcoming DC movies. That's a problem. So the animation feels really out of sync unless if it's an action scene. The voice acting is really bad. The story has some intriguing elements, but mostly its characters feel like they're pushed to the side to focus on two central characters that I still didn't connect with, and I just don't see where this is going in the future. I wish that there was a clear plan. It seems like DC just doesn't have a plan at all, and they need to figure things out on both the live action and the animation side now. And with this whole thing with James Gunn saying that animation's gonna roll into the live action stuff in his new DCU, does that mean like that Jensen Ackles is gonna be Batman or something? I have no idea. Like, is all this gonna get rebooted? It's weird to me, and maybe that's why they're culminating with a Justice League movie so soon because they know that this is what's happening. But honestly, where I would rank this in all, not just in the Tomorrowverse, but like out of all the ones that I've seen, because I have about like 27 of these on Blu-ray, I think. Right at the bottom before Green Lantern Beware My Power. I didn't like it. It does have its things of merit, but overall it's very weak. This whole Tomorrowverse hasn't really impressed me. Even with the weaker ones, I give like threes to on Letterboxd. I'm like, I can still enjoy those for what those movies are, and I haven't enjoyed these past two. And even Superman Man of Tomorrow is just like, sure, whatever, I guess. So, yeah, I sat there watching Legion of Superheroes with stale popcorn. So, guys, have you seen Legion of Superheroes? I want to know what you thought of the movie. Drop me some feedback in the comment section below. I'll leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more reviews coming very soon. I'll see you at the movies somewhere.